Swashbucklers, you're listening to Under the Crossbones, episode number 159. My name is Phil Johnson. I'm your host for the week, this week, every show, I'm here for you. We missed last week, did we not? We did. And here's the reason for that. You probably heard something about it, whether you saw it on the face. I tried to put out the word everywhere that there was not going to be a show last week. I even put a show in your pod feed that said there wouldn't be a show last week. So, if you didn't hear, the reason why, it was two reasons. One was I was thoroughly deep in comedy world at the World Series of Comedy out in Florence, Indiana there, and had very little time to do anything non-comedy related. The second reason, and the one that really put the nail in the coffin, though, was that most of my websites were down for a good chunk of last week. My host had a weird snafu of some sort. Some dude typed a wrong line of code in somewhere and blew the entire system up, and I wish that were hyperbole, but it's not. That's actually what happened. Backup systems failed, whatever it was. Anyway, so sites were down, my email was down, everything was down for the first half of last week. So we just go with the clean slate into this week's show, episode number 159. Fun fact about the number 159, in professional darts, that's a thing. In professional darts, 159 is the lowest score a player can achieve with no available checkout. Now, I have no idea what that means. Not a clue. I don't play darts. I've played darts, but I don't play darts on a level where I know what an available checkout is. Maybe he needs to go to the self-checkout. I don't know. You do the boop and whatever. I don't know. I don't know what a checkout is in darts. If anybody knows what that is, feel free to send me an email or a message or something and let me know what that is. By the way, the self-checkout at the grocery store, as much as we all may not like having to do the job ourselves, they're fantastic when you're buying something really, really light, like some produce. I'll buy like a couple Thai chilies. I don't need a lot of Thai chilies. I need 2 Thai chilies because they're very hot, right? So I put 2 Thai chilies in a bag, and then it's produce, so you got to weigh it on the little self-checkout thing. And it weighs nothing, like literally less than whatever that thing can weigh. And I go, excuse me, there's no weight. And they go, just throw them in the bag. So you can get a lot of Thai chilies for free if you buy them 2 at a time. So if you happen to use a lot, that's how you do it, I guess. Ridiculous. Anyway, I've gotten my share of free Thai chilies over the years, just because they don't weigh anything. My guest on the show today, Jess Seevers of Bluefoot Pirate Adventures. And this is one of those going in. I've talked to people who do pirate ship adventure things before, and I kind of knew what to expect. She brought some new stuff to the table. I had no idea it was going to be in there. There is stuff in here that I did not plan on talking about, and that is always fun when that happens. So that's coming up in just a second. We're going to talk to Jess from Bluefoot Pirate Adventures. Brain's not working. Bluefoot Pirate Adventures. You try and say it. I'll bet you can't say it either. You there laughing at my verbal discombobulation. I can say discombobulation, but I can't say Bluefoot Pirate Adventures for some reason. So I'm just back from the World Series of Comedy and the couple gigs I was doing out in Michigan. It was a blast. It was fun. It's like summer camp. I get to hang out with all my friends that I see once a year. And my set went really well. I did 2 sets, actually. I hosted one of the Monday night shows where I did some MC stuff. And then I did my regular competition set last Wednesday. I had a really good set. I ended up coming in 4th, I think, out of my round. They only take the top 2, so I did not get to move on into the next round of the thing. But I had no problem with the people that did. They were all very, very funny. And the winner this year was a guy named Trixx from Edmonton, Canada. And Trixx is very, very funny. His physicality is fantastic, and he has great material and all that. So I'll put a video of Trixx doing a stand-up thing in the show notes for this episode, just so you can see it, just because you should see it if you like funny people doing funny things. So I'll put that's in the show notes episode, underthecrossbones.com/159. That's where you'll be able to find all that kind of stuff. And between Friday, let's say Thursday night, and when I left on Sunday, I did not get any more than 2 hours in a row of sleep at any given time. It would be 2 hours. Something would have to happen, another couple hours here, and then I'd have to do something else, another couple hours there. I'd have to do something else. And so it was just like, by the time I got home yesterday, I was blitzed. Grabbed another hour there, had some food with my girlfriend, and then we chill, and I was gone by like 7:30. And so now I'm feeling a little more rested, but I'm not quite there yet. Not quite there. But today I had to do a really cool interview with Michael Scott Moore, which you're gonna hear in a couple weeks. He's the author of a book called The Desert and the Sea. He was an actual Somali pirate captive for almost 3 years, and we talk about his experience in that. So that's coming up in a couple weeks. You'll have to wait for that one, but it's really great. You'll love it. Meanwhile, I get a couple days off, but then it's back on the road. October the 4th, that's a Thursday, I'll be headlining at the Red Brick Bar and Grill in Turlock, California. And then on October the 6th, that's a Saturday, I'll be at Comedy Oakland in Oakland, California. October 11 to 13, I will be at the Comedy Factory in Edmonton, Canada. Yeah, and Trixx said he might be in town then, so I'll get to hang out with him a little bit that week. October the 25th, Tilted Mash in Elk Grove, California. October 27, I'll be at Vinny and Rosie's in Sweetson City, California. Those are all headlining gigs, I believe. So if you're in any of those cities, come on out, see a show. I've got some good stuff to show you. And on the 26th, I'm doing a corporate gig. These are the gigs that don't often go on the calendar sometimes that people don't hear about. But I'm doing a corporate gig in Reno for the Groundwater Association. And I got to write some groundwater jokes. Not entirely sure what those are going to be yet. So that'll be an adventure. Lots of other dates coming up. Arizona, Nevada, Minnesota, Florida, Oregon, Washington. All those are coming up. Go to underthecrossbones.com, click on the tour dates button, and you can see when I'm coming near you to tell some jokes and sing some songs. We are sponsored today by S.R. Staley in the third book in the Pirate of Panther Bay series called Calusa Spirits. If you read the first two award-winning books, Pirate of Panther Bay and Tortuga Bay, then you know you can't miss this latest installment. But even if you haven't read those first two books, you can still dig into this one and not be lost because they're built to be read either way. You know, kind of like when you find an amazing album by an amazing band, and then you find out that's like their fourth album, and then you got to go back and you got to get the first three albums. That's how this works. That's how this works. In Calusa Spirits, Isabella, the lead character, and her crew of pirates are on the run from pirate hunters dispatched from colonial Spain. Ooh, colonial Spain, you rats. And fighting for their lives off the coast of Cuba, where they make a run for safety up the west coast of Florida. And they're scavenging for food and water, and they run into this rogue tribe of Calusa Indians. And the result is an epic battle of survival and identity in this action-packed pirate adventure of historical fiction set in the 1780s. Calusa Spirits is out. Came out September 19th, which was, of course, Talk Like a Pirate Day. So you can get that. Go over to srstaley.com for all the info and to find the book. You can also go back to listen to my interview with S.R. Staley that we did a while back in episode 20. That's more than a while back. That is like 130 some weeks ago. And that's at underthecrossbones.com. Click on the episode guide. You can search for S.R. Staley there and check that out. But go to S.R. Staley or Amazon.com or the places you get books and pick up Calusa Spirits by S.R. Staley. If you're enjoying the show, and I hope you are, come on, join us over on Facebook, facebook.com/underthecrossbones, Twitter/undercrossbones, no the in that. And of course, you can subscribe to the show and get all the show notes at underthecrossbones.com/159. If you would like to help support the show, that is awesome of you. Go to underthecrossbones.com/support. Right there's a PayPal box that you can put whatever sort of amount of money you want in there. Figure the price of a bottle of rum is a good way to think about it, because I don't drink rum, but I do use money. And I use that money, by the way, to promote the show and buy advertising for the show and things like that. There's also an Amazon banner there that you can click and go buy yourself something nice at Amazon, and then Amazon kicks me back a few shekels. But if you don't click that banner, Amazon has no idea that you would like to support Under the Crossbones. So you got to go to the click the banner, buy your stuff. Amazon gives me a little few pennies, and it doesn't affect your price at all, of course. And if you want to be a sponsor of the show, like S.R. Staley or Pirate Radio or the Treasure Coast or any of the other great ones we've had, there is information about that too there. So again, that's underthecrossbones.com/support. All right. My throat's starting to wear out for some reason because I haven't done that much talking this week yet. So let's get into our interview. Are you ready? Here it comes. This is Jess Seevers of Bluefoot Pirate Adventures. Check it out. Tell me what your actual position there is with the Bluefoot Pirates.
I do a little bit of everything, actually. Okay. I've been there for going on 6 years now, and I originally started as first mate on the ship. So if necessary, if a first mate calls out, I fill in that position. I've also been trained on the villain. That's part of our experience. And I also, about 3 to 4 days a week, I go in and I do admissions. I check people in. I get everything set up for the crew. and basically sell merchandise, get everybody on board safely. So do that like 3 or 4 days a week. And then mostly I answer the phones and do the social media, the marketing, that stuff as well. I do that 6 days a week.
Okay, good. Yeah, so that's so nice when you get a variety of things to do in your job like that. It keeps things more interesting, doesn't it?
Oh, it really does. It's a different week every week for me.
Right. Yes, that's part of what I value about my work too. Is like I know tomorrow is always something different than I did the day before, and that keeps it exciting. Very cool. So, what can you tell me about the history of the company? You said you've been there about 6 years. How far does the company go back?
About 7 years.
Oh, okay.
7 years.
Okay. Who started it?
His name's Captain Jack.
Okay.
He's the owner and the operator. It started him in a partnership with a friend, and then he bought out the friend. So it's him who's the owner now, and he had this idea to do this children's adventure aboard a pirate ship, and he had the ship custom made and got it going, and we've been growing ever since.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So what kind of activities, what kind of thing? Is it from your website, I'm babbling, it specifically sounds like it's a children thing that the parents can go with them on. Is that mostly the focus?
The target audience for the experience are ages 3 to 10. However, everybody who comes aboard gets something out of the experience, from 90-year-olds all the way down to teenagers, which are a very tough crowd to please.
Yep.
There's very few people who've come on our experience who haven't left very happy. Basically, the first mate is in charge of the young kids that are there to be pirates. They kind of lead the adventure, and while the first mate is leading that adventure, the adults usually sit close to the captain, and the captain provides the R-rated entertainment for the adults. While the kids are having fun pretending to be pirates.
Oh, that's interesting. So there is a little bit of separation between the groups during the same cruise then.
Yeah. It's all one ship, and it's open seating, so the adults, if they want to, like if they have really little kids, they don't want to be separated from them, they're more than welcome to join the first mate on that experience. But a lot of adults opt to go sit in the back in the shade by the captain. He gives a tour because we sail on the Intercoastal Waterway in South Florida here. It's completely lined with mansions and giant mega yachts. He talks all about those and about the houses. So the adults usually have fun hearing about that while first mate takes the kids.
Oh, that's interesting. I've never really heard it done that way on those pirate cruises before. That's pretty cool. You get kind of a 2-in-1. And yeah, the adults, I've done river cruises like that where they just point out all the stuff you'll never own, and those are fun. But then to have the kids area too, that's pretty cool. So was it always like that, or did that kind of develop over time?
No, it's always been like that. They came up with the experience has developed over time. Basically, we have people check in about a half hour before the sail time. And during that time, the first mate and the crew, they dress the kids like pirates. We have these vests and sashes that they borrow. We do face painting and pirate tattoos, which basically is a face paint. If they wanted to, they have the bandanas, eye patches, and swords that we have for sale. They purchase those. We help them put those on. During that time, the captain and the crew tell jokes. Depending on the captain, we have one captain who's Captain Black Sparrow. He does a lot of singing. He sings a lot of pirate songs and sea shanties, and he tells jokes. The other captain, Captain Chris, he is more of a physical actor, so he does what I call feats of strength, where he'll climb the tent, or he'll jump over things, or twirl the sword, try to balance the sword on his face. That's more his style. So depending on which captain you have, and they have different schedules, you get a completely different experience when you come on the ship for that.
Oh, that's cool.
After everybody's checked in, the first mate leads the kids and the parents onto the ship, and then the real pirate adventure begins.
That's very cool. It also sounds very repeatable as an experience, where you could come back and see a different show the second time. We
do have lots of people who do that. They'll come back to the same captain too. Usually when they call me on the phone, they're like, "Hey, what is we had Captain Black Sparrow last time. We'd like to try Captain Chris. What's his schedule?" Or they'll say, "We love Captain Black Sparrow. Please tell me what day he's working so we can get him again. We're bringing family. It's an interesting experience.
Ah, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, that's when you know you've got something special, when people are requesting that kind of thing. I remember years ago I was in, or a few years ago, I was in Detroit and I went to the Motown Museum, and all my friends were like, you have to ask for this one tour guide when you're there. This one guy gives the greatest tours, the Motown Museum. So I actually did get him for that tour. It was very cool.
Awesome.
But that's great. So once they're on the ship, what kind of activities happen on the ship?
Oh, well, we start with the safety briefing, which is actually... Even the safety briefing's pretty funny, where we tell them where the life vests are. We're not required to wear a life vest because we stay on the intercoastal, but we are inspected by the Coast Guard, and we have them on ship. So we tell everybody where the life vests are. We tell them where the bathroom is, also known as the poop deck. We go through all of the rules of the ship, and then as we're sailing, we teach the kids how to talk like pirates, how to act like pirates. We have little pirate chores for them. Like we lower the stem on the front of the ship because that has to be pulled in when we're docking. We also have the flag. So at some point we raise our Jolly Roger. We have water cannons on our ship.
Okay.
And we go through cannon training. So they pull water from the intercoastal and they pump it out, and they can shoot. If we pull them up full blast, they can shoot a good 20 feet.
Oh, okay.
So as we're going and we're doing cannon training, we have different, like the channel markers, we have them hit. If we're lucky, the boats out there, they know us and they know our schedule, and the different tours will pull in close and they'll let us blast them with the water. And the kids,
really?
Kids absolutely love that. Yeah.
I bet. Let's go back into your history a little bit. You said you've been with the company for 6 years. Were you a piratey person before that, or what's your background look like?
I've always loved pirates. It's always been funny. So I live where the local Renfest, I live in the same city, so I used to visit the Renfest all the time, especially for Pirate Week, because that's always a blast.
Sure.
And basically my background, I was a zookeeper.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I worked for a place here called Lion Country Safari.
Okay.
And I started there as a bird keeper and did reptiles as well. And then I moved out to the actual safari portion and was an elephant keeper during that time.
Is that something that you studied for, went to school for, or how did you get into that?
I kind of did it the old-fashioned way. There's two ways you could do it. You can study for it, get a degree in biology or zoology or similar, and kind of direct entry that way. I started as an intern when I was 17 years old for a different zoo that's local here, the Palm Beach Zoo.
Okay.
And I did a couple years of internship. I became a commissary keeper, which I made the diets for the animals.
Okay.
And then through the internship, I gained experience with the zookeeping that translated into becoming an actual zookeeper.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. So you started in with birds and reptiles. I'm not a reptile guy at all. Birds are awesome. And so is birds and reptiles sort of an entry level kind of thing? I mean, obviously they're probably a little simpler than elephants, but is that kind of an entry level thing for zookeeping?
That and petting zoo, actually.
Okay.
People usually start with the petting zoo. My internship was in birds of prey and carnivores, so I took care of tigers, panthers, ocelots, things like that. So I had a little bit of a leg up where I didn't have to necessarily start at the petting zoo, but from there was able to kind of prove my worth to move out there, and that was a lot of fun.
What's the more challenging part of that? Because it seems like there would be a lot of prescribed, okay, here's what they eat, here's when they're washed, here, that almost like taking care of a baby where it's very scheduled and things like that. But I imagine there are things that pop up unexpected that can be difficult. What was the difficult part of that job?
When we'd have to bring them in and they don't want to come in, that could be very difficult. The elephants were awesome. There were two very old girls that were very experienced and probably the best two elephants anybody could ask for to take care of. The rhinos were part of that. We would help the rhino keeper, and though they could be a little difficult to convince to come in. Another thing that was always difficult was like hurricane preparations. Oh, yeah, I'll bet. Yeah, if we got word that a hurricane was coming, everything had to be placed someplace safe. Heat lamps for reptiles. It's a bit of a nightmare when you're facing that. Yeah, I'll bet. I imagine that a zoo built in that area probably has some infrastructure in place
for hurricane season and things? Are there sort of, I don't know, underground bunkers or something? Where do the animals go during a hurricane?
There's no underground bunkers, but every single building, from the gift shop to a bathroom to anything, the restaurant, anything in between, suddenly becomes a makeshift home for any of the animals.
Oh, okay.
They have like temporary cages that we set up. We move them in there. The elephants, they have their own huge barn. That's what they had out there. And many of the animals there as well had their own structures that were out on the safari. But as far as the walk-through portion, everything had to be captured, rounded up, placed in the kennels, and secured for the duration of the storm. And it's as hectic as it sounds.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm just picturing, hey, don't go in the bathroom. There's a rhino in there.
Yeah, it's like, or tortoises. Tortoises are more likely. Flamingos, things like that get stashed into bathrooms. So.
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's crazy. So it was a safari park then. So in a safari park, the animals are then brought in at the end of the night. I've been to a few, but I never really knew how that worked. So they're brought in at the end of the night and then taken out again?
It depends. Yeah. The lions definitely are secured in a night house. Basically the big animals that could potentially do some damage, they all have secure areas that they're brought in and let out in the morning.
Okay.
Things like zebras, gazelle, they're usually left loose, and they have shelters that they can enter, exit at their will. Just because they're not really animals. I mean, the likelihood of them getting loose is very slim. The fencing and everything's super secure, and they're not really animals that do so well in barns, if that makes sense.
I see. Okay. Yeah, that does make sense. So how long were you doing that for?
Oh, I did that for a number of years. Let me think here. It's like 8 years total as a zookeeper.
What made you change gears?
Well, actually, the pay, I hate to admit it, but the pay, you get paid in gratification when you're a zookeeper. The pay is never that great. There's some places that pay better than others, but unfortunately, it's just kind of, when you're working with animals, the pay never goes very high for the standard of living. And then during certain seasons, your hours kind of drop down as well.
Oh, I see.
So in correlation with that, I began seeking other work to kind of fill in the gaps, and that became difficult. And it just became to a point where it's like, okay, I have to think of something else here.
Yeah.
And piracy actually pays very decently. So.
I suppose it does. Yes. That's interesting because zookeeper is kind of one of those, when I grow up, I want to be type of jobs, and
it really is.
Yeah. And those jobs never seem to pay that great. I know, because I'm a musician and a comedian, and that's also one of those, when I grow up, I want to be type jobs, and it's a fantastic job. But there are plenty of nights where I'm doing it for the gratification, more so than the paycheck.
You get it.
Yeah. I guess the jobs that are fun, they just don't want to pay you enough for it because everybody wants to do them. I mean, was that a competitive type thing? Like when you were trying to get the internship for it, was that a competitive internship to get?
It was. It was a brand new program. They weren't entirely sure which direction they were going with it. There was a lot of maybe not. And then finally, when I received word that I was selected to do it, was very exciting.
I had never put zookeeper in the same line as the entertainment business before, but now it's in my head like that, and it will stay there.
That's pretty accurate. I have a lot of friends that are in the entertainment business, and that's pretty accurate. You're weighing, okay, well, I'm going to have to, like, every zookeeper I know who's single has roommates. So you have to live in the roommate situation, kind of pinch your pennies a little bit, but you get to play with elephants every day.
Right.
So it's one of those things.
So when you got into, when you were looking around for something else, did you kind of just happen across this pirate cruise thing and go, that kind of looks fun? Or I can't imagine we're specifically looking for something piratey to do, but maybe you were.
I have a lot of public speaking experience.
Okay.
And I just thought, okay, what are my skills here? I'm a great public speaker. I can do these things. I don't want anything hectic like zookeeping was. It was a lot of physical labor.
Sure.
Elephants poop. The 2 elephants pooped like 1,000 pounds of poop a day. So I don't want to be moving 1,000 pounds of poop every day anymore. So I went on Craigslist and I was looking at different areas. I was looking at customer service. I was looking at acting, public speaking, things like that. And this popped up for the first mate position, which they're like, you work with kids, you act like a pirate, you dress like a pirate, you bring them on this adventure. And they were like, please, look at our website, watch our videos, and do that first, and then email us your resume. So I watched the videos. This looks like so much fun. Oh my gosh. Is this really a job? Like, is this really a thing? So I applied and sent my resume, and years later, when Captain Jack put me in charge of like screening resumes and things, I asked him, I was like, what made you look at my resume? Because it's, my acting experience is pretty minimal. I was a zookeeper. He goes, actually, it was because you were a zookeeper. I was like, that's cool. So,
well, children can be little animals sometimes, so I guess that was it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. He's like, I just read your resume. I saw you worked for the zoo, and I saw you worked with elephants. I was like, oh, I got to call her. That's cool. So,
nice. That's very cool. So
it worked out.
Yeah. So you started out as the first mate, and then you became sort of the Jill of all trades for them. Were you going in there looking to become indispensable? Because now it sounds like you're indispensable.
Yes. Once I started working there as the first mate and realized how cool Captain Jack is, how awesome my coworkers are, it's so rare that you find a job that you enjoy going to every day.
Sure.
I was like, I need to keep this job. This is amazing. So I told Captain Jack, I was like, I will learn anything you need me to learn. You want me to learn how to be a captain? I'll learn anything. And he took me on my word. So he slowly started, well, I need to do this, pick this up for me. I'm going to show you how to do this. And eventually it just evolved into, to be a captain, turns out you need like 2 years of actually driving a commercial vessel.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So it can't be any form of the captain. I can drive the little boat to be the villain, though.
Okay.
So years later now, I can do anything but captain.
Okay. Oh, that's great. That's very cool. We were talking about when you were doing zookeeping work that it was difficult to wrangle all the animals during a hurricane and things like that. What's the corollary to that in working on a pirate ship full of kids?
Oh, the hectic part is you've got everybody dressed, everybody ready, everybody's having fun, and then you get a weather alert.
Oh, okay.
And now you've got to bring them back in. You're explaining to crying children, I'm very sorry, matey, but it's for your safety.
Right.
Parents, you can come back anytime, and then once you're there, you have to figure out, would you like a refund or would you like to reschedule to a different day? And whenever the weather doesn't cooperate, for 15, 20 minutes, it's chaos.
Oh, I'll bet.
Until we get everybody sorted out and safely on their way. But for the most part, it's a really smooth, really easy, everybody's there to have fun. So long as everybody's having fun, you're doing a good job.
Good, yeah, and as long as Mother Nature cooperates, and that's always that's always strange to me. I mean, because in Florida, there you guys have so many concerns about weather and weather being damaging. I'm here in California, where we almost never have those concerns unless something's on fire, which it seems to be regularly these days. But that's all we have. Weather's great, and we have smoke alerts now, which is very strange.
Yes,
but
you poor thing.
Yeah, but that does make it seems like it just. I mean, there is a season for that kind of things, right? So is your high season the same as the hurricane high season? We have
a hurricane season. However, all year there's always a chance of rain here.
Okay,
being in the tropics, we're in South Florida specifically. Okay. Close to Miami, so it could be February. There's less of a chance that you'll have rain, but it can still happen.
Okay.
It definitely gets worse through the summer. We always have the afternoon thunderstorms. Right through hurricane season, we usually almost have rain almost every single day, And it's interesting because you just wait 10 minutes and the weather will probably be different.
Okay.
It's really hard to predict. That's probably one of the more frustrating things of me being on phones and customer service wise is we have people from all over the world visit us that, and even locals don't fully understand how the weather pertains to outdoor events. So our weather policy is, if it looks like rain, please still show up.
Right.
The captain makes the call at departure time. If we do cancel, you can get a full refund. You can reschedule, whatever you like. But we ask that they still show up because we have you check in a half hour before. It can be pouring at that half hour, and then 10 minutes later, it's perfectly clear.
Interesting.
And people really stresses people out.
I'm sure.
that idea that you can't predict the weather here, and you can have it raining 2 miles to the west and it never touch us. But the forecast says that it's pouring where we're at. It's best to just be physically on the location and see what it's doing at that time.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, and I suppose you don't want the pirate cruise to be quite that realistic where you take them out in a thunderstorm.
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. If it's any, if it's any hint that it's not going to go, our whole point is everybody have fun.
Sure.
If you're out there pouring rain, there's lightning, you're not going to have fun. You're going to be pretty scared. We do not want anybody scared on our ship. So we take the safety very seriously. If it's like a light drizzle and there's no lightning to be seen, we'll still go out because the kids will probably get sprayed a little up by the cannons anyway.
Sure,
so light drizzle's fine. It's when we have our thunderstorms that it becomes chaos for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, the whole cruise sounds like a whole bunch of fun, and I definitely like the fact that you've got sort of that. There's the adults thing and the kids thing. Do you ever do just an adults only night cruise or anything like that?
We sure do. We have booze cruises. They're 2 hours. They bring their own booze. They can bring music because we have the sound system on the ship. We cruise around for 2 hours, and our crew's there dressed like pirates, and we get the party going, and it's a lot of fun.
Oh, that does sound fun. That's great. So where is the best place online for people to get involved and do the thing?
Bluefootpirates.com.
What's the story behind the name?
It's actually, there's a story the captain tells. I actually don't know the true story. Every time I try to get them to sit down to tell me the true story, they're like, oh, it's a nickname. Oh, how'd they get the nickname? Oh, and then we trail off.
Okay.
But the story that the captain tells is that Captain Jack's former partner, Captain Kyle, sailed out on the ship and got in a full-blown fight with the Kraken. And the Kraken pulled him overboard. And as he was sinking, his one Bluefoot was sticking out of the water. And he's like, that's how we got the name Bluefoot Pirates, in honor of Captain Kyle. It is a nickname. I'm not sure how they got the nickname, but that's our logo. When you see our little guy, he's a little pirate with a Bluefoot.
Nice.
And that's the story.
Cool. And if they won't tell you the real story, then it's probably a story better suited for the adult booze cruise, I'm sure.
Probably. I think you're probably right there. That's what I'm going to guess.
Very cool. Well, Jess, thank you for your time today. This has been really fun. I enjoyed this conversation a lot.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And there it is, friends. That is my interview with Jess Seevers of Bluefoot Pirate Adventures. And, of course, you can find them at bluefootpirates.com. Pirates, that's plural in that one. So bluefootpirates.com. And you had no idea we were going to talk zookeeping, did you? No, you didn't know that was coming. You didn't know there was going to be elephants in this episode. That was a pleasant surprise. That was really fun to talk about because I knew nothing about zoology, and now I know it doesn't pay well. So there you go. What'd you like? Did you learn something? Did you want to interject a comment somewhere in this episode? I'll bet you did. Come join us over on Facebook. Let us know what you think. It's facebook.com/underthecrossbones. We're having lots of fun over there. We are sponsored today by Pirate Radio The Treasure Coast, of course, WKKC-DB, playing the best music of today's hits and yesterday's classics, and Pirate Radio Talk, playing the best pirate shows, including Under the Crossbones, 24/7, all commercial-free. To listen, just go to pirateradio.thetreasurecoast.com or pick up the Pirate Radio WKKC-DB app in the App Store, and that is the music station. For the talk station, go to pirateradiotc.com or pick up the Pirate Radio Talk app. And that's in either of the app stores, no matter what kind of phone you have. And you can even ask your Alexa. If you've got an Alexa or on your Android phone where you go, okay, Google, you can ask your okay, Google. You can ask Alexa and just say, play Pirate Radio of the Treasure Coast or play Under the Crossbones, and she'll kick it up for you because she knows where the good stuff is. All this brought to you by iTreasure Radio, the very best independent digital media from independently owned stations at iTreasureRadio.com. All right, friends, that is the end of our show today. I hope you had a good time. Hope you enjoyed that. We have got some pretty intense history stuff coming up. Past history, current history, making things, lots of things coming up. Again, if you want to find out more about Bluefoot Pirate Adventures, go to bluefootpirates.com and see what Jess Seevers and her crew is up to over there. Coming up next week, we're going to hear from Joshua London, author of Victory in Tripoli. We're going to talk Barbary Pirates. Barbary Pirates, yeah, next week. It's not a topic we get to a lot on the show, or enough, I think. So we're going to rectify that with Joshua London next week. And as I mentioned early in the show, if you're paying attention, Michael Scott Moore, author of The Desert and the Sea, is going to be coming up in a couple of weeks. And we're going to talk about his time, his nearly 3 years as a captive of Somali pirates. It is an intense book. If you have not read either of these books yet, definitely go pick them up. But The Desert and the Sea, I think you'll definitely want to get into a little bit before the episode comes out, because we don't go over the specifics of the book very much. We talk about what's happening, but we don't tell the story necessarily during our talk. So you might want to pick that one up. Good way to do it, go click that Amazon banner at underthecrossbones.com/support and pick it up. I'll probably stick a link in here too, so you can check it out. And again, all those show notes for this episode, underthecrossbones.com/159. Great stuff coming up, friends. I'll see you next week.